Hi everyone, and welcome back to day 5 of Christmas in September. And today we're going to continue to use the new bundle called Smitten Mittens in the holiday catalog. And this card here, once again, I'm using paper from the Trim a Tree stack from last year. And I am so close to being done with that paper stack. And I'm really happy that I've been able to use it up this year. So that's where this background paper comes from, and that gave me a little bit of guidance of how I was going to decorate my card. And it's more of a country look. It's not your typical white and blue, sparkly, or red and green. So it does have the red and green, but I threw in some crumb cake to kind of give it more of a country feel. So the stamp set again is Smitten Mittens, which is a really, really fun stamp set. And today we're going to use the mitten outlines. We're going to use the ribbing for the cuff. And we're going to use these little hearts as well as this snowflake. And everything we stamp today is going to be heat embossed, which adds a nice touch. The Merry Christmas comes from the Better Together stamp set. It's a 2-pack set, and we're going to use that. And the Smitten Mittens comes with coordinating dies, and they're available as a bundle with a 10% discount. So it has 15 dies. They're great dies. You can cut out almost every single thing that is in the stamp set, but today we're just going to use the 2 mittens and the cuff. So what I want to do first is I want to get all of my embossing done, because when you heat emboss, it's a great technique, and I absolutely love heat embossing, but everything that we heat emboss is also being cut out with the die machine. If you heat emboss it and that embossing powder is not cool, and you go run it through the Big Shot, you're going to smush it. So I'm going to get all of my embossing done first. And the only embossing powder I'm using is clear and white. So the first thing I'm going to do is do my mittens. Now, this is a great card to be able to use up some of your scraps. I have a box with all of my scraps, and that's the first place I go. Every piece of paper to make these mittens and this sentiment here was all done with scraps. The only thing that weren't scraps were the 3 background pieces. So here I have 2 scraps of real red, and I'm going to do 1 mitten on one side and 1 mitten on the other side. Now these are photopolymer, so they're real wiggly. And when you mount these, you want to be sure that you don't distort the shape, especially if you're going to die cut them. So what I like to do is I peel them off, and I kind of just toss them. And they go to their normal shape, and then I bring my block in and pull it up. And now I know that I haven't distorted that shape at all. So what I'm going to do with my Versamark is I'm going to stamp that up. And I'm going to press that down. And I'm going to sprinkle some clear embossing powder on that. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to unmount this stamp because I do need the other mitten, because they are going 2 different directions. And again, I'm just going to drop it so that it goes to its natural shape. I'm going to come in, mount it, and come in with my other scrap piece of real red. Ink up that mitten. And see, he fits just perfectly in there. Ink that up. and sprinkle some embossing powder. With my brush, I see just a tiny bit. I should have used my embossing buddy, but I didn't. And it's right here on my desk. So hold on one sec. Put that in there. And before this embossing powder dries, I'm going to emboss those. Okay, I'm going to put those aside. The next thing, while I have my red paper, is I'm going to do my Merry Christmas. And this one I'm going to emboss with white embossing powder. So, where's my embossing buddy? Here he is. And for this one, we're going to bring in the white embossing powder. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. The next thing I'm going to do is my the cuff. And the way I'm going to do that with the there's a stamp that has the ribbing, and then there's a stamp that has the outline. I'm going to stamp the ribbing with my Versamark. Twice, because I have two mittens. I'm going to change my stamp out and put the outline on. And I'm going to emboss this using clear embossing powder as well. Next thing I'm going to emboss is the the stamp with the hearts on it. And this one I'm going to emboss in white. But when I stamp it, I'm just going to stamp it on either side, because in the middle is where my Merry Christmas is going to go. So I'm going to emboss this one with white, and rather than have you watch me watch paint dry, I'm going to be right back when it's done. Okay, those are done. Now the last bit of embossing we have to do is just the snowflake on our mittens. And I'm going to bring those down, not quite the bottom, but not in the center either. And these are going to be embossed in white as well. Alright, I'm going to heat these up. And before I go die cut, I'll go over everything we've done so far. Okay, so I have everything all embossed. So now I'm going to go die cut. And what I'm going to die cut is my 2 mittens and my ribbing for the cuff. Now I noticed when I did this one, it's off just a tad, but that's not going to matter. I'm going to use that for my right ribbon, my right mitten, just to, and hide that so you won't be able to see it. I'm going to go run these through the die cutting machine. I'll be right back. Forgot to mention, the Merry Christmas, I'm going to die cut using the stitched framelits, which, as you know by now, is one of my absolute favorite die sets. I'm going to use the round circle for that one. Okay, now I'm going to go running through and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and we have everything all cut. Now we just need to assemble our card. So the first thing we're going to do is put the red onto the crumb cake. Alright, I'm going to center that up. It's a small little border. What I actually could have done was cut my 2 mittens out of the inside of this instead of using my scrap. But that's alright. And now I'm going to attach this. Sorry, I'm out of focus here. Then I'm going to take this little strip of crumb cake. I'm going to mount that on my strip of Whisper White. Just trim this edge off just a tiny bit because it's overlapping. And now I'm going to attach that right about here. I'm going to take my Merry Christmas and I'm going to put that. I know this is right in the middle, but I don't want my Merry Christmas in the middle, so I'm going to bring it over just as far as I can without going into the blank unstamped part. I just want to offset it just a little bit. Okay, so now I need to attach my mittens, and this is the cuff that I cut the edge off of, so that one is going to go on this side, and this part is going to be covered up by the other one. And I'm going to put the cuff on this one. Now with my 1/8 inch hole punch, I'm going to come in the center of my mitten and just make a little hole. Upside down. No wonder I can't see what I'm doing. Okay. Then I have some Whisper White thick baker's twine. What I'm going to do is make a knot. I make a bow, excuse me. Adjust my bow till I like it. Tighten it up. And now I'm going to run this behind my mitten. Okay, let me cut the other side off too. I'm going to run this behind my mitten like that. Alright, I'm not going to tape anything down yet because I want to see where I need to go. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more. And then I'm going to put some snail right here and attach my ribbon to it and trim it because I don't need it to be that long. And then I'm going to add some more snail along the edges. And I'm going to put my mitten down. Now I'm going to come on this side and do the same thing. I'm going to run my string back of my ribbon. Easier said than done. Give it a little push. There we go. I'm going to figure out where I want it. And now I'm going to go sideways. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a little bit of snail. Attach my string. And then I'm going to snail up the rest of the mitten. And I'm going to attach that where I want it. Pull my bow out here. I'm going to go sideways like that. And then with a glue dot, I'm going to secure my bow. I'm going to put that behind my bow and bring my bow down and pull it out. And there we go. Another card with Smitten Mittens. And I think this is just so cute. I like all the embossing. The embossing did take quite a bit of time, and I did want to get it all embossed before I went to die cut it all. So all my embossing, then all my die cutting to keep me from having to pop up and down 12 times. But I think I really like this, and I hope you like it as well. And if you have any questions about this project or any of the products, please contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. On the top bar, there is a tab to contact me, as well as a tab to subscribe to my newsletter, as well as a tab to shop my store. And if you do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would be happy to help you out. Well, that's it for today. Please come back tomorrow, and we'll do day 6 of Christmas in September. Thanks. Bye-bye.